Hey there, everybody. It is good to talk to you again. I know that it's been a little bit since I put a video together. I've been busy getting ready for my trip to Los Angeles, which is going to be leaving Bradley International Airport in less than 40 hours time from the time that I shoot this video. So I have a lot to do before I leave, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm going to be doing at the show. Before I go any further, before I start talking about that, I do want to send an extra special thank you to Nate over at popzara.com, the site that I write for. This is the second straight year that Nate has flown me out there and been able to get me into the show. It really is an honor to cover an event like this. I know that it's very busy. That's probably understating it. But it's an honor for me to be able to be in the presence of fellow writers, fellow analysts, and so many exhibitors that spend countless hours getting their games and their items ready for show, and to be able to take that all in. So although you hear on and off that you don't have to be at the show to experience it, and a lot of it you can get from being online. That's very true. I did that for several years before I wound up going to E3 for the first time in 2011. But it's a different thing altogether to actually be on the floor, to see all the activity close up, to hear the exhibitors talk about their games, about when they're coming out, to be able to have them answer questions, and to be able to play these games hands-on as opposed to just watching video or seeing stills or reading press releases. It's a completely different perspective, and especially in my role trying to determine what games I think are going to go over the biggest, what items, what products are going to go over the biggest this holiday season, it's really important for me to be able to get my hands on those items, to be able to see them rather than just kind of seeing a few pictures and trying to make judgment calls based on that. So thanks again to Nate over at popzara.com for getting me out to LA for the second straight year. As a matter of fact, he's actually going to be with me this year. It'll be my first time meeting him, and he'll be doing some things on the floor separate from what I'm doing. My schedule is absolutely packed. I have 13 meetings over 3 days, and I'm looking forward to each and every one of them. It's going to be fun. I have meetings with Namco, I have meetings with Konami, with Bethesda, with Activision, with Square Enix, with Zen Studios, which I'm really looking forward to as a pinball guy, with Power A, who came out with the Moga controller for tablets and for Android phones last year. I'm curious to see what they have this year. With Hyperkin, very much looking forward to information on the Retro N5. Those of you fellow retro fans are probably going to want to keep your eyes open for this. It could be the answer to your troubles if you're looking for a system, if your Nintendo isn't working properly and you don't want to deal with 72-pin connectors anymore, or if you just want a one-stop place for your Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Game Boy games and be able to upscale them to HD, as I'm hearing this thing will be able to do. That's going to be something I'm going to have my eye on, and I'm very much looking forward to meeting with David and the team at Hyperkin at their booth in Los Angeles. So those are just some of the meetings that I have. Again, 13 in total over 3 days. It's going to be a whirlwind. I'm going to enjoy every minute of it, but at the same time, I'm going to have my running shoes on and going to be going back and forth and doing a lot of things. Last year, when I covered the show for PopZara, I did a lot of hands-on pieces, which I'll do again this year. But something that I'm really trying to do, excuse me, from the analyst perspective, is that's the line of business that I'm looking to get into. While I do enjoy writing video game reviews and previews and impressions pieces, sales analysis and trying to predict the future, as it were, is something that I'm really going to be trying to do while I'm out there. What games have the biggest effect? What games have the best chance of outselling other games? Will the Xbox One be able to overcome this wave of negativity that it's been up against almost since its reveal? Will the PlayStation 4 be able to maintain its positive momentum, or has it all been a mirage? What's Nintendo going to do? Don't sleep on Nintendo, by the way. I know that if you've read some of my armchair analysis columns, I've been pretty harsh on the Wii U, and with good reason. The sales haven't been there. The marketing plan's been kind of up in the air. But I do think that Nintendo does make a comeback this year. How big a comeback, I'm not going to say at this point. But I think that Nintendo will surprise some people at the show this year. I know that's really going out on a limb, isn't it? But that's what I think. So there are storylines all across the board. There are hundreds of different games and products that will be seen, and I'm only going to be seeing a fraction of them, as many as I can see in the 20 hours or 22 hours, whatever it is, there's floor time before the convention center closes down for good. And I'm going to do the best I can to take in all that coverage, to kind of marinate it in my head, figure out how I want to put that stuff into words, and then share it with you guys, both written and maybe a few more of these video pieces as time allows. So that's really what the plan is. I am going to a couple of after-show events that I'm pretty excited about. I get an opportunity to meet Mr. Michael Pachter again this year. Michael and Jesse Divnich, who's another person out in the game analysis realm, the sales analysis realm. Those are the two guys that really helped to motivate me and inspire me to start following sales numbers and trying to interpret trends. And if it wasn't for these guys and their response to my writing and their support, I probably wouldn't be doing what I do now. So that's important to me. And I'm also going to be attending a couple of other events as well. So it's going to be a busy time, no doubt about it. I also want to take the last 3 minutes or so that I'm allotted, because YouTube cuts you off at 10 minutes. I do want to talk a little bit about the Xbox One. I did write a blog post on my Consolation blog, which I'll link to at the bottom here. And I talked a little bit about how I'm not angry about a lot of the stuff that's come about as a result of Xbox One strategies. I'm not going to throw a fit like Angry Joe, who has done a fantastic job. Or I'm not going to fly off the handle like a lot of message board posters have done. Excuse me. I'm disappointed. It's very weird for someone like myself who's been playing games and buying games for decades to see things like borrowing or renting or even the practice of trading in games changed or even gone in some instances. It's odd. It's very odd. It's very disappointing for me to see that. If it wasn't for video game trade-ins and console trade-ins, I would never have bought the PlayStation back in 1995. If it wasn't for game trade-ins and console trade-ins, I never would have bought the Dreamcast in 1999. If it wasn't for game trade-ins and console trade-ins, I never would have bought the PlayStation 2 in 2001. These things help to fuel or help to add to the money that I have in pocket. I don't necessarily have the $400, $500, $600 to be able to go and get a console, an extra controller, and a small library of games from which I can play, enjoy, and or talk to you guys about or write about. There has to be a little bit of subsidy coming from somewhere, and what I did in the past was I took systems that I wasn't playing as much, and I kind of mortgaged the farm a little bit. And now, even though consoles won't be affected, games are going to be affected. Trade-in values may be affected. Let's say I don't want to deal with GameStop, or I don't want to deal with Target in order to trade in my games. What then? I'm not going to have a choice. I'm not going to be able to go to an independent video game store that I enjoy going to so much. That's disappointing. I can understand the whys. I can understand the industry wanting a little bit more control on the second-hand market and possibly trying to get a little bit of profit from it since it hasn't before. But it's disappointing. It's disappointing to see rentals going away. I did rent games a bit when I was younger. And it's disappointing to see borrowing go away, at least for now for the Xbox One, hopefully not for the PlayStation 4, but we'll see. So that's it from here. I'm going to be headed back to my room to go ahead and finish prepping and figuring out what I need for the show. I do thank you guys for watching, and I will try and get more video content up after E3, I promise. Have a great E3 week, everybody. Enjoy it. Stay excited, and we'll talk soon.